Hello, Angela Meiritz-Reid here, Stampin' Up demonstrator based in Christchurch, New Zealand. Today I'm sharing with you how I made this card for the Global Design Challenge project this week. It's a colour challenge and three colours we're using are the Balmy Blue, Garden Green and Mint Macaron. I've added a couple of little extras in there of my own too. If you're interested, I've done a tutorial for this bundle. It's on my blog. I'll add a link at the bottom of this video, and these are the cards that we made, and so I've got all the there are written tutorials and videos for all those four cards, so if you check that out, all the details will be on my blog. So we'll get started. What I've done is because this die cut is slightly smaller and I wanted it to fit neatly into the background, I've trimmed this down, so it's a normal 21 centimeters, but I've trimmed it down from 14.9 along here to 14 centimeters. And so I've got a panel here that's going to be this panel here, this die cut, and I thought I'm going to do everything with you so you can see exactly how it goes and how long it takes to poke everything out, etc. So I've got the panel, and this panel and all the sizes will be in my written tutorial. So this is a piece of adhesive sheet, and it is exactly the same size as this cardstock. See? So this is a tricky bit. It doesn't stick to you. Let's get those bits out of the way, and then just want to adhere that onto there. It is, I've made it slow because it was the width that I already had it cut. It's slightly narrower, but it won't matter because it's just the edges of those. It should be okay. So just stick that onto there and bring my cutting machine in. So I'm going to pop that down. Hopefully you can see that all okay. And then that fits perfectly. Actually, I might just turn this plate over. This might sit a bit better that way. So I want it to sit exactly on there. So I've made it exactly to the right size. And then let's pop that, see, over. And then what you need to do is run this through several times. Bit stuck, but it will go through. It's just that extra little layer of the adhesive sheet. What I'm going to do is just pop it onto a bit more of an angle so it will run through a little bit easier. So I think the ideal is to go through about 3 or 4 times. Those up a little bit. Just makes the die cut go through a little bit easier when there are, you know, just that, as I said, with that extra layer of the adhesive sheet. Right. See, some of them are already falling off, so it does make a little easier. So just put that out of the way for a minute. So we'll be needing that again. Just want to peel that off, and it has created that little frame around the edge. There's just a little bit of adhesive along the top, so I'll just trim that off so it doesn't become annoying. Then hopefully, see, just going through those 4 times just makes everything pop out reasonably. You see there are a few sticky areas, so I could go back, pop it back in and go over that. Alternatively, when you pull the backing off, which I'm not ready to do yet, that does sometimes help, just because it is usually cut through from this side but not right through. So you can see it hasn't quite cut through that the backing on the adhesive sheet. I am going to put a die cut circle, so if that works I will do it in that spot. Of course, take your pick tool, it's great for these dies, especially those little ones that don't seem to want to come out. Right, I'll come back to those later. Right, I'll just get rid of all those bits and pieces. The next thing I'm going to do is create this circle, and so I've done two things. I've got one circle which is the background, which I'm going to put the Balmy blue on, and then I've created that little frame there. So bring my die cutting machine back in. So I want to cut this one plain circle. And once again, all these measurements will be in the written tutorial. That's one circle there. The other one, I want to create just that frame, so I'm just going to pop one inside the other there. Just pop those through. So this here becomes that background there. Don't need that circle, and then this little frame here will be what goes on it there. So what I need to do is I want to cut an area from the back of here that's not necessary. So that's what's going to sit. It's going to sit there, and it's going to sit on top of it. So I need to cut out that circle there onto this die cut. So once again, bring my die cutting machine back in. So you want to work out roughly where you want that circle to be. So I want it to be equal distance from the top and those two sides. I think that looks about okay. Maybe a bit more over that way, slightly. Hard to tell. I think that'll do. Maybe just down a fraction. Oops, I think that moved. It did. I might just bring my ruler in. Just feel a little bit happier if I. So that's about 1.5 from the edge. See, it's 1.5. Yep, that is right. So try not to move that, and just run that through, and that will get rid of most of that area that hasn't come out of the die cut. See, it wasn't a clever move, was it? Running it back through. Stuck. Okay, so I've got that, and then still those areas there that haven't come out. So what I can trying to decide whether I think they will come out. Just see if I pull that. I think when I pull the adhesive off the back they will come out. So I'll risk that, because I don't really want to run it through again. So the next thing is I'm going to stick this circle on, and that's just going to stick on. Actually, I can't do that. I have to think how it's all very well, isn't it? You do these things and then fiddle faddle. Right, so what I'm going to do is that now. So I'll bring in my blending brush and my Balmy blue, and then just to keep it in place, just pop that on there, just a bit of Stampin seal. And sometimes just grab a little scrap of card or paper just to pop over, just so I don't get my sticky fingers on anything. Then I just want to add the Balmy blue to this background here. Just sort of circular. That's where I'll put my pot. Actually, it doesn't seem to move with that adhesive on there. Probably didn't need that. So it's just as much or as little blue as you like. Just going to add a bit more. Make this a little bit darker than last time. Just sometimes it takes a little while just for the colour to seep into the paper. It does sort of change over time. There we are. Oh, it's come off by itself. That makes life easier. So that is going to stick on there, and then this is going to stick on top, and that's all going to be stuck onto the card. So what I will do actually is stick that onto there, so that will stick inside that. So I just want a little bit of glue, just gently around the edge, so it doesn't squeeze all out over the circle when you pop it on. Just a really fine amount. Oopsie. Pop that onto there. See how that's going to go. Okay, so what I'll do now is just adhere that onto the card, and hopefully these bits will pull out. So just pull that back off. Just want to be gentle because it is quite fine. Some of those have come out, so that's good. So, okay, got that off, and I'll just try and poke out the last of those. Quite stubborn, those ones. Oh, they have come out. That's good. What I want to do is adhere this, and I want to get this so it's even to all the edges. So that should be, that looks about right there. okay. And just gently tear that down. And then I've got this piece here, so I'm just going to add some glue to the back of that. Pop that in place. So not too difficult, just a little fiddly. Next thing we want to do is stamp the images. So I've brought in my foam mat, which you need with your photopolymer stamps. It creates a better image. So I've got some scrap basic white cardstock, and start with the crumb cake pot. Okay, that looks alright. Stamped okay. Pop that out of the way, and then I've done 2 of the little polished pink flowers. Let's close that up because I have been known to drop things in open pads in the past. And mint macaron, I've done this big cactus plant. It's a bit hard, it has got quite stained that it's got the colour on it. And lastly, I want to stamp these little leaves, and this is in the garden green. And then these need fussy cutting, so that's probably the longest thing anything takes to do, really. But they're fairly simple images to fussy cut. I know some people don't like fussy cutting at all, but you could always use the other images in this stamp set that have the coordinating punch if you don't like fussy cutting. The hardest things will be those little green leafy things. These succulents. Okay, just turn that across. Sorry, you can probably hear a little muttering in the background. My daughter's in the next room. She's listening to some online study. Makes a change, doesn't it, from the cat bleating. Just about need a soundproof room. Right. And as you know, I like to leave that little white edge. And then these last 2. And also cutting things apart helps too, so you're not sort of getting caught up in other bits of cardstock. And then just trim that around there. Nearly done. If you just keep moving your cardstock while you're doing it. And keep it sort of flowing so you don't get any hard edges. I'll show you what I do if I have any. I usually just run the edge of my fingernail over the edge of the card stock, and it just takes away that rough edge. I just go like that, and that just takes off any sharp edges. Okay, so that's so far so good. So now I'm just going to start assembling that. So the pot, it's just down here at the bottom. Tuck that in there. And then this one here. So I'm going to tuck that in just into the pot there. Actually, my pot might have put it over a bit too far. Into the centre a bit more. There, doesn't matter too much. And then these ones here. Actually, what I did too is I added some Wink of Stella, and I did that last. See, that's an old one. Last time, so it might pay to just add the Wink of Stella now. And it probably doesn't show up too much on here, but once it's dry, you can see it on these images. See, it's a little bit of extra sparkle. Just a little bit, not much. And so then I'm going to tuck these in here, just put a bit of glue. Sometimes what I find it's quite a good idea, instead of gluing actually onto there, if it's a, you know, could go anywhere, is just do this and tap it into there. And I'm just going to tuck that one there, and then do the same thing and tuck that one in there. Fiddle how you want those to sit. And then the little flowers at the top, what I'm going to do is put just a half of a dimensional, and actually I should have been putting that at the wrong end. See, just want to tuck that. See, all fingers and thumbs today. Just tuck that just up against that, butt that up. Just move that up a little bit so that I can do the same thing on here and just butt that up against there. Right, last but not least, I'm going to stamp the sentiment. So I've just got some black cardstock here, and I'm going to do that in Versamark and white emboss powder. See I am, more fingers and thumbs. Stamp that there, and put the white powder on it. Doesn't matter too much because I am going to be cutting it down. Just try and get as much off. I don't want anything I don't need. Yeah. And then I'll just heat emboss this, won't be a moment. And little trick that many of you know that I do, I use the white Stampin chalk marker and just pop over it if it just needs a little bit of whitening up. It hasn't been as sharp as I would have liked it. And then with the black, I just draw over any little spots just to give a bit of a sharper image. And then I'm just going to trim that down, a little trimmer. Hopefully that will be nice and straight. And then I have split that in half with the adjuster and then note on its own. So you get away with it not being exactly straight when you've got a little bit of room to move. And then I've added a linen bow, and my bows are about, it's about 35 centimeters, 34 centimeters, give or take, depending on how long, how big I make the bow. And that's about, well, 21 centimeters is 8 inches, so that gives you a bit of rule of thumb, if that's any help. And then I want to tuck that. I'll just make sure my loops are the same, they don't look very the same. So just looks better. And I'm just going to add a glue dot into there. It's about there. And what I like to do is lay it down onto the glue dot so that I can pop the thread where I want it to go, in which direction. Actually, I've been a bit over generous with that, so I'll just bring that down a little bit and pull this one up. And then that looks okay. Tuck that back under there. And then I'm going to trim that. Right, so hopefully that's okay. And then I'm just going to add these with the mini dimensionals, and I'll just put one either side of the knot, so that then it will sit reasonably flat over that. I like to just take that up there. And note, I'm just going to tuck in here, so I'll just pop one in the middle. That should avoid the pot and the twine. Yeah, just like that. And then I've got these polished dots, and I'm just using the clear ones. They're all the same size, the ones I've got left, and they've been popular. I've really enjoyed these. And just pop one up. Rogue die cut, pop that in there, and then one more. I'll just pop that, and I'm just going to tuck it slightly under there, so it's just obscured a little bit. And yeah, that's it. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and as I say, the written tutorial is available, and yeah, we'd love to see your projects over at the Global Design Project using these gorgeous colours. So thanks again, and see you next week. Bye for now.